Hi, this is Brian Daisy of Quest Cohort 16 here today to talk to you about client communication. The first point I want to make is kind of a common sense one, but it's still important to keep in mind, and that is just to be friendly and remember that your client is a human being as well. So you want to start off any meetings or phone calls you might have with a little bit of small talk, reference an old conversation, mention something that you know you guys have in common. A little bit of small talk can really go a long way in fostering a good personal relationship with your client, which will then transfer over into helping out your working relationship as well. Don't let this take up too much time in your meetings, but just starting off with a little bit can really help. Now, the next point I want to make is don't bug your client with every little detail of your project along the way, but you also have to ensure that there are no surprises. If your team is falling behind on something, let the client know that you're going to be a little bit behind schedule as soon as you realize this, and don't wait until you've missed a deadline or the day of the deadline to inform the client and have them be mad that you're really 2 weeks behind where they expected you to be. They'll be much less angry if you just tell them when you know you're going to fall behind that, hey, we're a few days behind, but we'll work as hard as we can to try and make the time up. Another thing that is important is you want to communicate your successes as well as your struggles. Show enthusiasm for your project when things are going well. Get your client excited about it. Get them really more involved with what's going right and get their support on this, because this can really help. It's important to keep in mind that your client is going to care more about results and what your team has done rather than how you guys did it. Within your team, it's more interesting, of course, to tell your story, how you did it. We had this innovative method for solving this part of our problem, but your client is really just going to care at the end of the day, what got done, how it's going to impact the rest of the project and the rest of the timeline. Something that's important to never say is "I don't know." The answer is not "I don't know." The answer is "I'll find out." It means the same thing, but it shows your client that you're eager to work on this project and solve whatever problem it might be. And another thing, if a client asks you a question you don't know the answer to, or asks you about something you haven't done yet, don't blame other people on your team for not getting it done. Just keep a united front. Say, "Oh, we haven't gotten to that yet, but we're going to start working on it. We'll take care of it in this way." It just makes it for a nice united front and makes your team look stronger and more cohesive. And now just for a little bit about the logistics of client communication. When you start a project, just find out your client's preferences for communication, whether this is phone calls, emails, in-person meetings if that's possible. That's great. And also find out what frequency they expect to have. Is it a weekly conference call? Is it an email every 2 days, every 3 days, or just as needed? And also within the whole email issue, find out if you have a bunch of questions, would they prefer that you send them a list of questions and they'll get back to you in one email with all of them answered? Or would they prefer to go back and forth one by one until they have all the issues taken care of? It's minor details like this, but it'll help you really communicate better in the long run if you just keep these kind of things in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is your client's schedule. So ask them, are there any trips you're taking in this upcoming month where you won't be available to communicate with us as much as you normally do? Just find out about anything like this in your client's schedule. I know when I was doing my 490 project, our project champion had every other Friday off of work, so we knew never to call him on those days, and also never to expect a response to one of our emails on those days. And so that was helpful for us to just keep in mind that his schedule while we were working on our project. So hopefully you got some value out of these tips about client communication. And again, this has been Brian Daisy from Quest Cohort 16, and thank you guys for listening.